Have you ever looked at a dollar bill in your hand and wondered, how can just a piece of paper be exchanged for everything in life? The answer takes us back more than 230 years to 1792. America had just escaped a war, full of hope yet completely chaotic in money. Every town used different currencies. People had almost zero confidence in the value of what they owned. Imagine traveling from New York to Philadelphia and realizing the money in your pocket is suddenly worthless. How unsettling would that feel? George Washington and Alexander Hamilton understood something crucial. You can't build a strong nation without building trust in its money. So the Coinage Act of 1792 was born. For the first time, America created the U.S. Mint, where every dollar was made from real gold and silver. $1 was equal to 371.285 grains of silver, about 24 grams you could hold firmly in your hand. Not a promise, not a vague belief, but real value. Hamilton said that money must reflect a person's hard work, that no sweat or sacrifice should quietly lose its worth over time. And to keep balance, they set a clear ratio. 15 ounces of silver equals 1 ounce of gold. From that moment, the dollar wasn't just a currency. It became a symbol of freedom, a commitment that America respects the value of your labor. Don't you feel a bit proud holding that legacy in your hands? Because that dollar doesn't just buy what you need. It proves that trust can be forged into metal. You know what I admire most about our founding fathers? They understood something that modern society often forgets. Money isn't just numbers. Money is morality. A promise to the people that everything they earn through their time and effort will not be stolen from them. That's why the Coinage Act included a rule that sounds extreme today. Counterfeiting or debasing the currency was considered a major crime and could be punished by death. Harsh, right? But think deeper. Money gets its value from the trust of every one of us. If someone secretly weakens that value, they are stealing. From every family, every worker, every child saving coins in a piggy bank. To the founders, destroying the value of money was destroying the moral foundation of the nation. A country can survive a lack of resources, but it cannot survive a lack of trust. A business owner in his 40s once told me, "What scares me most isn't losing money. It's that I work so hard, yet the value of my labor keeps disappearing." He wasn't talking about criminals. He was talking about inflation, that silent erosion we rarely see happening. The creators of the dollar understood this from the very beginning. They fought to protect citizens from being robbed quietly. To them, corrupting the currency wasn't just a crime against the law. It was a crime against society. After the Coinage Act, America achieved something rare. It turned trust into metal. Every US dollar could be touched, weighed, and believed. No financial illusions, no vague promises. And something remarkable happened. The wheat farmer in Virginia, the blacksmith in Boston, the merchant sailing, all trusted that the dollar they earned today would hold the same value tomorrow. Honest money gives people courage to save, to invest, to dream. There's a saying in finance I always tell people in their 30s. Good money lets you plan, bad money forces you to survive. Because of that honesty, the US dollar became one of the most trusted currencies on earth. Pick up a silver coin. You know it's silver. The world knows it's silver. Trust becomes undeniable. And that clarity helped America make its first major leap into global economic power. Great economies don't need countless rules. They need one currency people trust without hesitation. But nothing remains perfect forever. That 15-to-1 gold-silver ratio made sense at first, until markets began to change. Silver became more valuable than the law claimed, and people, always rational, protected their wealth. So they hoarded the good money and spent the lesser one. Economists call this Gresham's law. Bad money drives out good money. It sounds philosophical, but it's brutally real. When people no longer believe that every dollar is equal, they hide the strong ones and circulate the weak ones. Kind of like life now, isn't it? Real value hides in the shadows, while cheap illusions flood the world. A system that once seemed unbreakable began to crack at the very core: fairness in money. Then came the test of history. During the Civil War, the government had a brutal choice: lose the country or print money with no gold or silver behind it. They printed. Value suddenly depended not on metal, but on the government keeping its word. Trust, fragile as it is, started shaking. Inflation spiked. Dollars shrank in real value even though people worked just as hard. A farmer once told me, "The hardest part isn't labor, it's knowing each dollar I earn buys less than yesterday." Then came 1873. The government removed silver entirely, gold became the only standard. Who held the gold? Banks? Who suffered? Farmers and workers. Debt stayed heavy, but prices for crops collapsed. People called it the crime of 73. Money once meant fairness. Now it was a battleground between those who create real value and those who control value through money. In the 20th century, America's financial train sped toward modern wealth, but the brakes of public control came off. 1913. The Federal Reserve was created. They gained the power to create money with a signature. 1933. Ordinary Americans were told they could no longer own gold, the very symbol of financial freedom. One night, freedom over savings was gone. 1971. President Nixon cut the last tie between the dollar and gold. From that moment, the dollar became pure faith, and the Federal Reserve became the guardian of that faith. I once told a client in his 30s, money used to have limits. Now the only limit is the imagination of the central bank. Have you ever felt like you earn more, yet life gets harder? That's not a feeling, that's math. A $17.92 today is worth the equivalent of $20 to $25, meaning over 95% of the dollar's power has evaporated across generations. Inflation is the smartest thief. It steals while you sleep. A man in his 30s once told me, "I work harder than my parents ever did. So why do I feel more behind than they were?" I told him, "Because the dollar steps back faster than you step forward." Inflation is a time machine, dragging your effort into the past while the future gets more expensive. And the worst part? Most people don't notice until the damage is done. When value can change overnight based on decisions from people we'll never meet, we must ask, do we control money? Or does money control our lives? There's a sharp truth in finance: whoever controls money controls society. Once, gold and silver ensured people held the power. Now, a few keystrokes can create billions or erase them. Money has become a tool of influence. Printing quietly taxes everyone. Credit decides who advances. Interest rates determine the fate of the middle class. I've seen high earners with six-figure incomes nearly lose their homes just because rates ticked up slightly. Our entire system rests on trust that can vanish in a single night. When money becomes a method of control instead of a foundation of freedom, doubt spreads. A nation doesn't collapse when people lose money, but when they lose faith. So here's the core lesson. Money is trust. A promise that what you earn today still matters tomorrow. If that trust is broken, we don't just lose value, we lose the integrity of our society. Hamilton warned us long ago, debasing money is theft, the kind the public doesn't see until it's too late. Inflation doesn't knock on your door. It slips in quietly and empties your shelves 1 inch at a time. A woman I advised in her 40s once asked, "Why do I work harder than my parents but feel poorer than them?" I replied, "Because money today isn't as honest as the money they had." That's why the founders fought so fiercely to protect honest money. Because when a nation loses the honesty of its currency, it loses the honesty of its soul.